Hey, Alan here from Damn Good Reviews. Today we have the Circle with Disney. Now you may have seen our unboxing video, and what this product does, it controls your internet. No, it doesn't do all things on its own. What it does, it allows parents or guardians to control what their kids or anybody that's on their network, and you can manage those devices, whether it's bedtime, turn-in devices, pausing them, monitoring traffic. Really cool device. So again, you probably saw the unboxing video. If not, check out the link below. But here is the Circle with Disney. Not too big, about 3 inches by 3 inches or so. And it has Wi-Fi built in. It also will work with a direct LAN connection. So it comes with an Ethernet cable and you can plug it right in. Well, let me talk about setup a little bit. This product, the app on the phone, both Android and iPhone, was very easy to install. Straightforward, easy to install on both my phone, which was for the parental control. It asks us if you're a parent or a child, you set it up. And then also you can install the child version of it as well, because they offer specialized Disney content. The children can see, you know, what's going on as far maybe their bedtime came up. So they provide some content that way. What I will say about the children's side of the app, it's not that great. For the littler kids, they don't really care. They just know that their tablet stopped or their iPhone stopped working. And also the content really was not there yet. I think there's a lot to really work on, but the only upside, I guess, for using the software was that you can see a notification that, you know, your internet or your bedtime has arrived, if that's the case. Otherwise, you don't even need to install anything on the app. The Parental app works based on the IP or the MAC addresses, which identifies each device. Each device has its own MAC address that, you know, tells it what device is on your network. So back to setup. Now, they do provide a setup where you can do the push button, I believe it's WPS, to get it to set up with your router. I had a lot of trouble doing it. I have a relatively new Netgear router, and I could not get it to work. Why? I don't know. I simply just gave up on doing that after a few times. And I've dealt with a couple people that also have the device and have had no problems. So maybe I did something wrong. I don't know. However, I did set it up very easily in only a few minutes using the Ethernet cable, plugged it in here, plugged it right into the router. We were set up, ready to go. Very easy to do. Went through the steps on the phone, on the app, and again, really easy to set up. The next step was setting up the profiles for the children or for whoever will be on that network. Now, also keep in mind that this device is only going to manage one network. So if you have multiple networks, either if you have repeaters that have multiple names, it's not going to work on all of them. It's only going to work on the one network, unless you get their Go plan, which will allow you to manage up to 10 devices for $10 a month, and the kids can be anywhere. Which I really do like, because if your kid's smart enough and they jump on someone else's network or figure out a way to maybe do a hotspot, then they can bypass this. Depends how tech savvy the kids are. But with that said, so when you go ahead and you set up the apps, a lot of the phones and tablets, you know, everybody will name them. So like you might see mine says Alan's phone, Alan's Android. And then you'll see that when you go set it up and you assign it to the profile that you build. So I can say Alan's Android is assigned to Alan. And then I can put all the management settings as far as software, times, how much screen time I'm allowed to have, things like that. The one issue is if you don't have that identified, it just says a phone has joined the network or something has joined the network. You're like, okay, who does it belong to? That's when you got to kind of go and dig in the phone, look at the settings, and kind of match up the MAC addresses. To me, it wasn't a big deal, but for some, it might be a little bit like, what am I looking for? So keep that in mind. You know, if you can go in and name your phones or your iPads, do that. It'll be a lot easier in the long run. So with the app, you can do a bunch of different things. You can issue rewards. You can set time limits, how much time you want the children to do on YouTube. You can set levels of what they can see on the internet. Now, at first I was doing it just on the phones, and I realized my son set up a hotspot through his laptop, so I actually installed the laptop as one of his devices as well. So that management kind of shut down once I was done with that. You know, you can monitor what sites they've been on, and that's a really great way to see kind of what they've been up to. And then you can even filter it even further down. So if you say, hey, the filtering should be just for a teen or just for, you know, kids to this age, you can do that. One of the interesting things is you can issue rewards. So I'll get notifications that will say, hey, this person is at their, you know, time limit that you set up. And we'll just get that notification. Well, if I want, I can go in and I can issue a reward. Now, without the app installed on their side, they're not going to get any notification to say that, hey, they got this reward, unless you kind of tell them. Typically, from what I've been using, the kids have just been really confused of why their internet has stopped working or the apps have stopped working. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, once you go ahead and you issue the reward, all the different software applications that are in that profile, say YouTube or just the internet in general, Messenger, if they have reached their time limit for the day, just overall, say they've reached their time limit just using YouTube for 3 hours, if you increase the reward just overall, it doesn't specifically do it just for that software. So if you say they can only use the phone on YouTube for 3 hours, but you increase their reward for usage by an hour, YouTube's still going to be stuck. So you have to go into the separate apps within their profile and say, all right, give them 20 more minutes, and they can do it that way. At least that's how it is right now. And then what I find is you just go back into the app, either close it or refresh it, and then it will kind of, you know, refresh and let it know that it can actually use that application again on that tablet. Some other, you know, feature, of course, you can always set the bedtimes. You can set specific bedtimes for the weekends or weekdays. Really, really cool. And that's all within that parental software. You know, another really interesting thing is sometimes our internet will be slow. I'm sure like a lot of you see things slowing down. And it turns out that, you know, my kids, they share you know, some of the network information with their friends. So they go to their friend's house, they're on their network, they come here, they're on ours. Well, of course, our network, I guess, broadcasts really well to the neighbors, not so well upstairs. But besides that, I'll get notifications of, hey, this ID or this, you know, tablet has joined your network. And I'm like, what is going on here? Who are these people? And you can just go in and say, okay, that one, I can block it from the network totally, or it can also go in and click pause, depending on if I want to find out who it is. And it's really interesting because I can go through that log and to see not only if I do allow them on, what they've been doing, what they're up to, and go from there. It's crazy how many people are logging on, or how many devices. You get to see how many devices that you're using. Another thing is, if you don't add the device, it's not going to be managed anyway. So like we have the Fire Sticks and Roku's and my phone. I have my phone listed in here just when I did the testing, but it's set for no filter at all, so I don't have to worry about bedtimes, things like that. I guess if you want to play with your significant other and you pick up their phone, get their Mac ID, and put it in, you can always pause them just if they're ignoring or annoying you. You could always do that. Again, going back to the Kids app, I can show it right here. So the Kids app, some really basic information on it. They have some, you know, some videos that are, I guess, Disney related. That's why it's called Circle with Disney. So it gives the kids something to do. But overall, besides showing what their current status is, like how many minutes to bedtime, things like that, I wasn't too impressed with that. But it looks like there's a lot of room for improvement on that app for the kids. And it's not like they only need to use that app. Of course, they could use whatever apps you identify on their tablet. One thing I will say, you know, it'd be nice that if you don't install the app on the kids, or a way to install something that will still track them, and also send the SMS or send notifications to them, but be able to hide it on their phone or tablet so they don't know it's there. Because you know, they can always go in and delete apps unless you have restriction enabled, and they're like, well, what is this if they're not using it? So a way to install something else that will just say, hey, hide this app, and, you know, parental lock it so they can't do anything with it. As I mentioned, you know, they do have to be on your network. So our network here, I do have a couple of repeaters, but the repeaters all have the same, you know, ID. So it's all working together on both 5G and the 2.4, I think it's 2.4 gigahertz networks. But once they're off of that, forget it. They're not managed at all. So if they go to a friend's house or they switch, you know, to a different one, they're not going to be managed. However, Circle does offer I believe it's $9.95. You get to manage 10 devices, and they can be anywhere. They can be on your network. They can be on cellular, anywhere. So they could be pretty much anywhere they have a connection. You can say, you know what, I'm going to pause them, and you can pause their activity, set up the same time management plans and app plans that you have on your network, but it will work on the go. Really thinking about that. I mean, 10 devices is plenty for on the go. Even if everybody has an iPad and a phone, that's plenty to manage with the kids. And I think that's a great idea. Yes, it's another fee to add, you know, for your monthly bills, but to have that, you know, with you, to know you can then manage that and also see what their history is when they're not on your network, think it's really golden. One thing, when I do talk about managing or seeing what they've been viewing, I would like a little bit more in-depth information as far as, you know, browsing histories and things. I've seen site names, IP addresses, and a lot of times I'll go to it and click it and then it goes nowhere. So it's probably just like, you know, a YouTube video or something, or another video that it's pulling. But I would like to see a little bit more detailed, maybe like you know, like a nerd mode where I can go in and see even more stuff of, you know, how long have they actually been using the phone. That's where, you know, an install would really be helpful, even in the background. So yes, they might have only watched YouTube or been on the internet for 20 minutes, but what about the games? How long have they actually been using the phone? And same thing, if they installed something in the background and they are playing offline games, well, I can't really manage it that way because they're not connecting to the internet. I would like something in the background for the software where I can click pause and it just pops up, say, hey, your phone you're done for the night. And that's it, and kind of take the whole confrontation out of the way. But overall, I mean, for about $99 or so, anybody with, you know, with kids, I think this is a great way to manage your internet. Like I said, I think it worked easily, just plugging it right into the Ethernet. You could do it through Wi-Fi. Very easy to set up. Just keep in mind those MAC addresses. If you don't see the IDs, set up the profiles. Straightforward, ready to go. Great device. Have only had to reset it a few times, and that's about it. So there it is. That's the Circle with Disney. I'm Alan from Damn Good Reviews. Make sure to like and subscribe right here on YouTube, and we will see you soon. Take care.